TNA Impact review. The review is from last night's TNA Impact show. I've thought a lot about TNA recently. Since Hulk Hogan and Bishop came in, it's been a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff has been a lot better. Necessarily, I don't think anything has gotten worse or not as good anymore. They've had the top ratings of all times. Like they said, this is the top period they've ever had. They mentioned this during this episode of TNA Impact, that they are at their top right now. They've never been higher. They've never been more talked about. They've never had more pay-per-view buys, etc., etc. However, I think the things that makes me frustrated right now with TNA is Daniels, quite apparently, I guess they don't have any faith in him. They don't see any potential in him, as they have kind of admonished him and well, I guess reduced him to a mid-card wrestler or something like that. He has lost from going on in a title match of Turning Point in Triple Threat, then having a singles match with the title against AJ Styles at Final Resolution. He's now gone on to lose every match he's ever participated in. He didn't even qualify for the 8-card stud tournament against all odds, and seemingly, I guess they have no faith in him. Same thing with Samoa Joe. He came from having a title match at Against All Odds to lose to Orlando Jordan. I wonder there as well, is this a TNA? With Daniels, they apparently have no faith in him whatsoever. Samoa Joe, I mean, he was in a title match, so that makes me think they do have some faith in him. On the other hand, he was in a title match that wasn't even the main event of the pay-per-view. You can talk about what a main event is, but it wasn't the last match of the pay-per-view. It wasn't on the top of the card, because that was Mr. Anderson versus D'Angelo Dinero. So maybe it was, because I came to think, when he won his briefcase with the World Championship match, that was before Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff and the other guys came in. So that happened before, which means he was tied to having this title match sooner or later. It wasn't not on Hogan's or Bischoff's hands, so to speak. Jarrett wasn't around either when that happened, but one can discuss that it's likely that Jarrett saw a lot of potential in Samoa Joe due to the amount of success he's had in TNA. So, with that in mind, I guess they don't have any faith in Samoa Joe either, seeing as he lost to Orlando Jordan. The same thing was for D'Angelo Dinero. He lost to Orlando Jordan pretty early as well. He came back, he won a match, however, against Orlando Jordan, moved on to bigger and better things, and then won the entire 8-card stud tournament at Against All Odds, and now he's lined for a title match at Lockdown in April, which is the pay-per-view in 2 months. So there is really what I wonder, and that also regarding Daniels, that explains his loss against Sean Morley, a guy we haven't seen since then. Orlando Jordan apparently is very liked by Bischoff and Hogan, and I don't know what to think about him. I've never been a huge fan of him. He's a good wrestler, but I've never been a huge fan of him. I don't find him that entertaining. However, his character in TNA is way more entertaining than he ever was in WWE. So there's really what I wonder. It's so hard to know where they will go with some wrestler, because they got these kind of pushes. Samoa Joe might be explained, as I said, that he won the briefcase World Championship match before Hogan and Bischoff took over, and maybe they don't see that much in him. If we're looking back, he ain't getting more or less any TV time whatsoever. He wasn't even on TNA Impact last night. Another problem that I experienced with the current TNA Impact, looking back for 2-3 years, they've always been jacked with stuff. Jam-packed with a lot of action, a lot of interviews, backstage segments, promos, whatever. I like that. It's supposed to be jam-packed, but not with too much different stuff. That's been the case for the 2-3 last year. It's been kind of recurring segments, continuous segments, where you kind of follow the action throughout the night to be able to follow the main event Mafia's whereabouts through the entire night, and you've been able to follow some specific feuds throughout the entire night, such as Mick Foley and Kevin Nash when they had the feud, and other feuds as well. There's been a progression throughout the night. Now there is just more or less too much different stuff. I mean, this week, if we go back last week, Kurt Angle, Mr. Anderson, yeah, they gotta follow up eventually, but looking at the first hour of this last night's Impact, I was like, whoo, there's so much stuff, there's all this and this and this and this, which means every feud, every title gets this portion of the show. it's hard to say what is the main feud. How big is the World Championship? Because not every week is it getting that much time. Now that as well got a good follow-up because AJ Styles and Ric Flair returned later in the night to attack Abyss and get in the ring and fight with Hulk Hogan. So they came back. But for a long time there, it looked like the only time we were going to see AJ was for the opening of the show. And it's been that way for a lot of weeks now. And they need to cut off a lot of talent. I believe Nasty Boys will eventually leave. Scott Hall, six-pack, that feud has been going on for such a long time. It's really not, it wasn't very interesting. It could still be intriguing, but it's not happening enough stuff during the shows. I mean, it's been like for several weeks now where they have come in and they look like they had security all over the arena, and they come go, they go and then they sneak their way in, and it's been like that for a month now. And yeah, eventually now they had a fight, they got in the ring, but it's been kind of recurring. It's hard to say where will this go, because every week they're not allowed in the arena. They have security around the arena, yet every week they get back in. And I think that is the problem. If you have too much stuff going on, too much different stuff, you can have a jam-packed show if it's kind of evolving throughout the night, but if you only have like every wrestler to appear 2 or 3 times at most, it will be too much to take in. And Samoa Joe, the abduction, they more or less didn't mention that from last week. More or less didn't even mention it. So it's hard to really comprehend all that's going on when it's so much different wrestlers. They met Morgan, Hernandez. I don't remember more or less what they did last week. I remember apparently there's going to be a breakup, and I liked how they challenged Beard Money Incorporated. That's going to be a great match if that takes place at Destination X. Speaking of Destination X, however, I thought the rumor said it was going to be an X Division pay-per-view only. Apparently that's not going to be the case, because we have now booked several matches that's not, or rumored matches that is not pure X Division matches, such as this tag team title match that has created a rift between Morgan and Hernandez, and I don't know if it's going to be AJ Styles Abyss match. There's a lot of matches that it's talked about on Kurt Angle, Mr. Anderson, or if they're going to wait with that match till lockdown. However, the thing is, since they go live on March 8th, the next pay-per-view from there is Destination X, and they might need a strong pay-per-view. Not only an X Division pay-per-view, which can be good, but they need a strong pay-per-view to go from there with their best wrestlers, with the top card wrestlers and the main titles. I'm not sure an X Division pay-per-view will do. So in order to make a major and ultimate impact, they need a pay-per-view with the main event wrestlers on it. What do I think of Hulk Hogan getting back in the ring on March 8th? I don't think that's going to be a recurring thing. It's going to be a one-night thing only, and it's a tag team match. Had it been Hulk Hogan being power drunk getting into the ring, he would have been a single